Brian Mudd, this is my cheat sheet for Friday, December 16th. I realize that some folks going on vacation after today, including my partner Jim Edwards. Merry Christmas to you. Happy Hanukkah. Really hope it is a wonderful end to the year for you. Let's get started here. Now, it's been a good year for a lot of folks, but the president, not so much. But maybe, it's better to do better late than it is early. The president, his poll numbers coming around quite a bit in the last week, actually. I use information based upon the average approval rating, the overall historic likelihood of a president being reelected, and I take into consideration the length of way from Election Day we actually are. Last week, President Obama had about a 41% chance of winning reelection, all other things being considered equal. His poll numbers right now have actually risen by just over 2 points during the course of this week, probably on back of some of the better economic data we've had over the past week. And, the long and short of it is, with an average approval rating of just over 45%, being 11 months away from Election Day, President Obama is back to a 54% chance of winning re-election. So the odds are back in his corner right now as we get ready to head towards the new year. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the Republican race last night. Kudos on Fox for the questions. The answers, you take or leave them. But Fox, some really candid questions last night. Appreciated that. Meanwhile, what we continue to see, this is interesting, Newt Gingrich is still leading, a running average of the polls, but his lead's come down. After peaking as high as 37%, we're now seeing Newt's average come down to 30%. We actually have had a couple polls in the last day that have Mitt Romney back ahead of Newt Gingrich. So the question is, did the latest pop from Newt follow the trend that the others had, which was a quick rise only to start giving back, with Mitt Romney being the one constant force, always there ready to capitalize. As we head towards Iowa, it's not good that Newt seems to be losing some support, because if it goes much further, maybe it's Mitt Romney, not Newt Gingrich, or even a surprise, Ron Paul, who seemingly had a good night last night in the debate, that ends up pulling Iowa. Meanwhile, Mitt has reaffirmed his huge lead in New Hampshire. So we'll have to watch this, but maybe Newt's peaked. The race continues to be interesting. All right, let's talk some technology. The e-reading boom, absolutely huge. The estimates were coming into this year that, hey, maybe about 10% of all books being read were going to be read on e-readers. I think by the time it's all said and done, it's going to be much larger than that. Get this, we've set a new record now in e-reading. More than 1 million Kindles are being activated per week. And that's just Amazon's product. That's not including the number 2 product in the market, the Nook products sold by Barnes & Noble. And that also doesn't take into consideration ebooks are being read on tablets. And we know how popular tablets are. E-reading, I think, very well could end up being 15 to 20% of all book reading by the end of this year. And I have no doubt that over the course of the next 3-4 years, more than half the books eventually being read will be done on electronic devices, whether they're pure e-readers or tablets. My, how times are changing. And meanwhile, smartphone data. Here's something for you. We have, based upon the latest stats, information that shows that, yes, the most commonly purchased smartphone, cell phone anymore is a smartphone. The number one, Apple. 29% of all market share with new phones being sold. Research Emotion is number 2 at 17%, followed by HTC at 16%. Good news for companies like Motorola is that they are starting to pick up market share. The most commonly purchased phone is still an iPhone 4, and 55% of men are likely to purchase a smartphone versus 45% of women. So if we put it all together, here is the picture of your smartphone user right now in December of 2011. They are an adult male that is buying an Apple product, more often than not an iPhone 4, and they're most commonly using it to text, not to use it for a traditional phone. That's the information on the cheat sheet today. A whole lot more. Check out my page, and we'll see you on Monday.